The next 7-star raid event has been announced, and it is none other than a Bug Terra type Samurott. And with only 2 days until it goes live for the first weekend, we have one hell of a crunch to get counters ready for it. But first, let's do our overview of Samurott and its potential set. So as mentioned, Samurott will be rocking a Bug Terra type for this event, which will make it weak to fire, flying, and rock type attacks. It will have its hidden ability, Shell Armor, which makes it immune to critical attacks. Now, it isn't exceptionally bulky with only 85 base defense and 70 base special defense stats, but it does have decent offensive stats with 100 in attack and 108 in special attack. And on top of those reasonably usable offensive stats, it gets access to coverage moves for every one of its type counters and will still get stab on its water attacks, so rock and fire types may have a hard time going up against this one. Now for its potential moves, buckle up because it's got a good list of things to pull out on us, and I expect it to be a split special physical attacker. For its main moves, I'm expecting X-Scissor or Mega Horn. It will obviously have some type of bug move, and these are the only two it learns. Now I'm leaning more towards it having Mega Horn, as that is a 120 base power attack with 85 accuracy. And now for water coverage, it has Razor Shell, Aqua Tail, Aqua Jet, Aqua Cutter, Hydro Pump, Hydro Cannon, Surf, the list goes on. Basically, just be prepared to get slapped in the face with some powerful stab boosted water attacks. Next we have ice coverage for those flying and possibly even dragon types that I see a lot of people thinking of bringing. And for this one, we have Blizzard, Ice Beam, and Avalanche. Now for this slot, I'm kind of expecting it to either have Ice Beam or Avalanche over Blizzard, just due to Blizzard's awful accuracy when it's not in hail. Or snow, sorry, I'm not used to the new name for it. And now for its final move slot, it's a toss-up between probably Drill Run, Night Slash, Air Slash, or Aerial Ace. Now part of me feels like they're going to go with a critical hit theme for this event, so there's a fair chance that it's going to be running Drill Run and or even Night Slash. And now for its additional moves, we may see Swords Dance, Rain Dance, Focus Energy, or Sacred Sword. I personally think it'd be pretty crazy if it isn't running Swords Dance and Rain Dance, since they fit just so well into its kit. Sword Dance for the obvious +2 to its attack, and then Rain Dance to boost its water attacks while also weakening incoming fire attacks. Focus Energy and Sacred Sword could make sense since Samurott does get access to several high crit chance moves, and it is a Samurai Otter Pokemon, so Sacred Sword just kind of fits thematically. But my bet is that this thing will set up on turn 0 with a Rain Dance and a Water attack, and then set up probably Swords Dance after putting its shields up, similar to a lot of the other 7-star raids. But now onto the counters, and I think Corviknight is going to be one of the best counters for this event. Its flying steel type is going to make it resist or take neutral damage to anything Samurott throws at it. It's incredibly bulky and gets access to reliable healing and status moves to debuff Samurott. It will of course be rocking a flying Terra type with its hidden ability Mirror Armor. Now its ability isn't too important here since the other two options are Unnerve and Pressure, two abilities that will be basically useless in raids. I just went with Mirror Armor because if we need to respec this Corviknight for anything in the future, Mirror Armor is a more universally useful ability. And for anyone unaware, Mirror Armor basically just reflects any stat dropping moves back to the user. So if Samurott ever tried to drop one of Corviknight's stats, it would drop Samurott's stat instead. Lengthy explanation out of the way, for its stats, we'll be sporting an Impish Nature to boost that already high defense stat, and then fill out our EVs with 252 in attack and special defense, with the remainder going into HP. This will make Corviknight bulky to high health and hopefully make it impossible for Samurott to get any KOs on you. For its moves, we'll be running Drill Peck, Screech, Taunt, and Roost. I would advise starting the battle with a Screech to drop Samurott's defense by 2, then going for a Taunt to prevent any possible setups with Swords Dance or Focus Energy. Then from there, you're just going to want to Drill Peck and Roost as needed. Now when you Terra into flying, you're going to lose your neutral damage from any ice type moves that it has, so just be wary of that. Now for the held item, it's a bit tricky at the moment until we learn a little bit more about Samurott's set, but some initial good options are Expert Belt, Shell Belt, or Life Orb. Expert Belt and Life Orb will give you a boost to your attacks, Life Orb giving you a 30% boost while costing you HP every time using a damaging move, and Shell Belt will just be giving you that nice residual healing based on the damage you deal. Now for what I think will be the second best counter for this raid, we have Pelipper. Like Corviknight, Pelipper resists or takes neutral damage from all of Samurott's potential moves and also has some pretty decent bulk. Pelipper also has the added bonus of being a special attacker, which is good since Samurott's special defense is lower than its defense stat. Again, we'll be rocking the Flying Terra type with its hidden ability, Rain Dish. Now, I highly recommend Rain Dish since, as I said in Samurott's overview, it's highly likely that it sets up the rain, so giving Pelipper Drizzle may be a bit redundant. Rain Dish will heal Pelipper for 1/16 of its max HP every turn while in the rain, so with this we can use a potential Rain Dance from Samurott against it. And for stats, we'll be using a Bold Nature to naturally boost Pelipper's defense while putting 252 EVs in special attack and special defense, with the remainder going into HP. Again, the goal here is to be as bulky as possible, both physically and specially, since we're not sure exactly what set Samurott will be running. For moves, we'll most likely run Air Slash, Hurricane, Aqua Ring, and Roost. Now this is subject to slight change based on a couple factors. If Samurott isn't running Rain Dance, then you may need to slot in Rain Dance to reliably set up the rain yourself, and I'd recommend getting rid of probably Aqua Ring for Rain Dance if needed, since the other 3 moves are going to be more useful than Aqua Ring in the long run. Now, one of the great things about using this set in the rain is that Hurricane's accuracy will go up to 100 in rain, so you'll have an 110 base power stab super effective move to use. Then with Rain Dish and Aqua Ring combined, you essentially will be gaining back 1/8 HP every turn. And finally, for held items, Pelipper has a few good options as well. Shell Belt would likely make it near impossible to be KO'd with all the residual healing you'll be getting every turn. However, with Roost, Rain Dish, and Aqua Ring, you may want to forego Shell Belt in exchange for a Life Orb. You will easily be able to offset Life Orb damage with the healing from Rain Dish and Aqua Ring combined. Now, our next 4 counters are admittedly going to be a little unconventional for this raid, but they seem like the best we may have for it given Samurott's Terra typing and coverage options. So first up for the unconventional 4 is Drednaw. With its rock water typing, the only super effective typing Samurott can hit it with will be fighting and ground. So hopefully I'm wrong about it running Drill Run or Sacred Sword. Now with Drednaw sharing Samurott's Shell Armor ability, it will be immune to any possible crits coming from Samurott. It will of course have a rock Terra type, which means when it terras, you will lose your neutral damage from water attacks, so be cautious of that. Now the stat spread for this one is going to be a Careful Nature with 252 in attack and special defense, with the remainder going into defense. With its incredibly high defense stats, Drednaw should be okay without putting any investment into defense. Now for its moves, we'll be running Stone Edge, Terra Blast, Iron Defense, and Swords Dance. Now clearly this set is going to need a lot of setting up to get going, and I expect Samurott to wipe stat changes early on, but it's probably still going to be a safe bet to start the battle with an Iron Defense and then a Swords Dance before deciding to start dealing damage with Stone Edges. And since we have no healing at all on this set, your best bet for a held item to increase your survivability is going to be a Shell Bell. Next on our list of maybe counters is Iron Jugulis. Iron Jugulis sports a mean special attack and will only be weak to a potential ice attack from Samurott. We'll be rocking a Flying Terra type of course, Bold Nature, and 252 EVs in special attack, 112 in defense, and 144 in special defense. With this spread, we will hopefully be able to tank some hits and stay alive thanks to Shell Bell. For moves, we'll be running a similar set to Pelipper with Air Slash, Hurricane, Taunt, and Workup. This set will be relying a lot on Samurott to set up the rain to give us those 100% accurate Hurricanes, and with such a high special attack stat versus Samurott's low special defense stat, Iron Jugulis should be able to deal enough damage to keep itself topped up with a Shell Bell. And next up, sharing a type combination with Iron Jugulis, we have Bombirdier. Although not as good as Iron Jugulis stat-wise, Bombirdier could be useful thanks to its access to Parting Shot. And of course, we'll be going with a Flying Terra type with the ability Big Pecs, which prevent Bombirdier's defense stat from being dropped. And for its stat spread, we have a Careful Nature, and we'll be investing 252 EVs in attack, 176 in defense, and 80 in special defense. As for moves, we'll be running Dual Wing Beat, Terra Blast, Parting Shot, and Roost. As mentioned earlier, Parting Shot is especially useful since it will drop Samurott's attack and special attack stats by 1 stage each, so I'd recommend popping maybe 2 of these at the start of the battle to get both Samurott's attack and special attack stats down to at least -2. Then you'll probably need to use a Roost to heal up, and after that I'd start using Dual Wing Beat until I can Terra and start using Terra Blast, since it's going to be a lot more accurate than Dual Wing Beat. Now I considered running a Rock Terra type for this one since Bombirdier's ability Rocky Payload gives it stab with rock attacks, but then I realized that means that you'll be taking stab super effective water attacks when terra'd, and that's definitely going to be worse than taking non-stab ice attacks. And now for our final countermon, we have Glimmora. Although it's going to take those stab super effective water attacks and potentially even 4 times super effective ground attacks, I think it could be viable so long as Samurott doesn't run Drill Run, no pun intended. Now for Glimmora, we're going to be rocking the Rock Terra type. pun definitely intended, and the corrosion ability. Similar to Corviknight, its ability isn't going to matter too much here, as neither of its abilities is really going to have much impact on the raid. Corrosion is just a more universally useful ability if we have to respec for future raids. Now, as for its stats, we're going to be using a bold nature with 252 in special attack and special defense, with a remainder going into defense. With its naturally high defense stat, this will help Glimmora survive any special water attacks coming from Samurott. And for moves, we're going to be equipping it with Power Gem, Ancient Power, Light Screen, and Reflect. Now, those last two moves could make or break this set. Light Screen and Reflect will reduce all damage from special and physical attacks for you and your team for the next 5 turns. Power Gem is going to be a strong 80 base power stab rock move, and Ancient Power is mainly here to try and get a potential Omni boost for your stats. And finally, we'll of course be holding a Shell Bell for the heals, since Glimmora doesn't get access to any natural healing moves. Now, how I'd play this set is by setting up Light Screen and then Reflect first before you start going for any damaging moves. And now there could be a case made here to hold a Light Clay instead of a Shell Bell to increase Light Screen and Reflect to 8 turns instead of 5, but I personally think the healing from Shell Bell will be way more useful than the few extra turns you're gonna get out of a Light Clay. So yeah, those are all my pre-raid builds. I expect there may be some tweaks needed once we learn what Samurott is actually going to be running. Now, I recommend not putting together any of these sets until the night of the raid. I would gather all the vitamins and XP candies you need for whatever build or builds you want to try. Then once the raid drops and we know what Samurott's going to be packing, you can train up a counter or 2 quickly. This way you can easily tweak anything according to the information we get from the actual raid, and you won't be stuck with a pre-built Pokemon that may not be optimized for what is actually in the raid. Anyways, yeah, that's going to do it for this one, folks. So if you enjoyed the video or found it useful at all, hit that like button to support your boy, and consider subscribing for more raid builds and overall Pokemon content. Happy raiding, I'll catch you later.